News, analysis, commentary, and debate. Good morning. It's Tuesday, July 25th, year of our Lord, 2023. My name is John David Wells. Thank you very much for joining us today. The Wells Report front page is a quick digest of what was happening while we were sleeping. There's an official narrative on the president's involvement with Hunter business deals that apparently has changed slightly. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about what Fox News is reporting. During yesterday's press briefing, Fox News journalist Gillian Turner remarked on a recent claim that President Biden was not only aware of his son's business deals, but spoke directly with dozens of Hunter Biden's business associates while serving as vice president. Quote, Chairman James Comer today, this was from Gillian Turner, Chairman James Comer today said the Oversight Committee has evidence that the president in the past communicated directly with foreign business associates of his son Hunter many times. Curious if the White House and the president still stand behind his comment that he has never been involved and has never even spoken to his son about his business. Karine Jean-Pierre, who is the press secretary, said this, and I quote, "So I've been asked this question a million times. The answer is not going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son. I just don't have anything else to add," unquote. We'll have more about that later on in the Wells Report as we continue for this Tuesday morning. So the president has refused to acknowledge a grandchild fathered by his son Hunter, and USA Today reports that Biden's family image as a family man who values decency and compassion is central to the political identity that he's fostered over the past 5 decades in public office. But those virtues have taken a hit as President Biden publicly recognizes only 6 grandchildren and fails to mention the little girl born to Hunter and 32-year-old Lunden Roberts, whom Hunter met during the peak of his well-documented battle with drug addiction. Quote, "If that's the case, that's fine, but just admit that you have a 7th grandchild," said Beth Binns. She's a 78-year-old grandmother of 7 and a retired receptionist from Philadelphia who votes Republican. She goes on to say, quote, "You can't leave that child out in the cold. I think it's a disgrace." And he calls himself a Christian, a Catholic, unquote. Republican candidates have attacked the president over the issue, suggesting it shows a lack of empathy. Yet, even among Democrats in Philadelphia, the issue does not sit well with everyone, particularly among fellow grandparents who can put themselves in the president's shoes. Vice President Kamala Harris mischaracterized a Florida Black curriculum regarding Black history, and she got called out by it and for it. An academic who helped craft the Florida's African American history curriculum called out Vice President Kamala Harris for mischaracterizing the course material in an interview that ABC News left some of the footage out of. The Florida Board of Education recently approved a new curriculum for African American history with a section on how slaves develop skills which in some cases could be applied for their personal benefit. Harris immediately condemned this line in a recent speech, declaring, quote, "They decide the middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it," unquote. The former chairman of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights and Florida's African American History Standards Work Group member, Dr. William Allen, told ABC News Harris completely mischaracterized the curriculum with a categorically false statement. However, ABC did not air those comments on Saturday's ABC World News Tonight. Only a small segment from the Allen interview aired, which he defended the controversial line, "It is the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served to their benefit both while enslaved and after enslavement." The administration is working to crack down on home appliances. That is continuing. The Biden administration's latest view on home appliances now includes water heaters. All those appliance bans, et cetera, would take effect in 2029 if its regulatory proposal is enacted as it continues to implement its aggressive energy efficiency campaign. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday acknowledged the president was going after home appliances. A Department of Energy proposal released late Friday, that's earlier last week, said new regulations would ultimately accelerate deployment of electric heat pump water heaters, claiming it would save Americans billions of dollars and reduce carbon emissions. Quote, if it's enacted, it would not take effect until 2029, so let's not forget that, says Jean Pierre. If and when it's enacted, it's going to help save consumers about $11 billion a year. If finalized, the proposed standards would force less energy efficient but cheaper water heaters off the market. A former Home Depot CEO is warning of some economic upheaval with economic pressure at the forefront of voters' minds. One American business leader warned that President Biden was being overconfident regarding U.S. fiscal health. This from Fox Business. Quote, I've seen this for 52 years, and I think I see more uncertainty now than I've ever seen in our country running corporations across a broad sector of businesses, said the former Home Depot CEO Bob Nardelli on Neil Cavuto's show yesterday. I was just in LA a couple of weeks ago. I paid $6.43 for a gallon of gas, so it still has a lot of pressure on us out there. A new Fox Business poll released over the weekend showed just over half of primary voters say economic issues such as inflation, jobs, and taxes will be the most important in deciding their vote for the nomination, coming in at 51%. In state news today, the DOJ filed a lawsuit against the state of Texas. This from USA Today. Governor Greg Abbott refused to remove a floating border barrier that the Biden administration says was unlawfully put into place. Quote, we allege that Texas flouted federal law by installing a barrier in the Rio Grande without obtaining the required federal authorization, unquote, said Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta in a statement. She went on to say this floating barrier poses a threat to navigation and public safety and presents humanitarian concerns. Additionally, the presence of the floating barrier has prompted diplomatic protests by Mexico and risks damaging U.S. foreign policy. The White House said yesterday Abbott's actions were dangerous and unlawful after the Republican governor defied the DOJ request and told the president he would see the Biden administration in court. Out of Alabama, it was a legitimate surprise when the conservative-dominated U.S. Supreme Court ordered Alabama's conservative-dominated state government last month to redraw its congressional map and include either a second majority black congressional district or something quite close to it. It may be equally surprising that Alabama appears to have rejected that decision by the Supreme Court. Instead of simply complying with the court's order in the Allen v. Milligan case, Alabama's legislature redrew the congressional map to lower the black voting age population in the existing Democrat seat held by Representative Terry Sewell from about 55% to just over 50%, and then increased a second district's black population percentage to about 40%. The new map approved by Alabama's legislature and governor will go before federal courts for review in August. And in Idaho resident Gabriel Wrench was awarded a hefty settlement for his 2020 arrest during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Wrench spoke out about his case yesterday, argued his arrest was the result of liberalism and cancel culture. He was arrested in September of 2020, along with two other churchgoers, for not wearing masks to an outdoor worship service. The three brought the lawsuit forward the following year, alleging their First and Fourth Amendments were violated, their rights in those amendments. The city of Moscow ultimately agreed to settle for $300,000. And in states news out of California, this reported from CBS News, the Temecula School District caved to Newsom's demand curriculum. Temecula Valley Unified School District board members held an emergency meeting Friday night in light of a controversy involving a rejected school curriculum and Governor Gavin Newsom. The controversy, which stemmed from the material's mention of Harvey Milk, the first openly gay person to be elected into political office in California, and allegations that Milk was a pedophile. Wednesday, the district voted 3-2 in favor of rejecting a state-endorsed social studies curriculum. Gavin Newsom, then issued a statement in which he announced a $1.5 million fine facing the district in what he called a willful violation of law. Additionally, he plans to supply the students with the new textbooks and shouldering the district with a $1.5 million price tag. On Friday evening, which was called after the governor imposed the hefty fine on the district, the debacle reached an end, as referred to by USA Today, with board members voting to adopt the curriculum. I'm sorry, that's CBS News. They decided to vote for the curriculum, and the new textbook will be used. In international news, the World Health Organization warned last Friday that cases of dengue fever could reach close to record highs this year, partly due to global warming and the way that the climate has helped mosquitoes that spread it. This according to Reuters. Rates of the disease are climbing worldwide, with reported cases since 2000 up eightfold to 4.2 million in 2022, according to the same source. Europe has reported a surge in cases. Peru declared a state of emergency in most. However, international travels to the U.S. are looking for protection against this tropical infectious disease may have to wait a while. On July 11th, the Japanese drug maker Takeda voluntarily withdrew its application to the Food and Drug Administration for its dengue vaccine candidate in the U.S. after the agency requested more data that the current trial could not capture, this according to a press release. Out of politics this morning, USA Today, former President Donald Trump's legal troubles and multiple federal criminal investigations have raised a significant question among his rivals for the 2024 race. Would any of those rivals pardon Trump if they were elected? President Trump is currently scheduled to go on trial May of 2024 over alleged mishandling of classified documents kept at Mar-a-Lago after he left the White House in 2021. There are other indictments that are either forthcoming or already in place at the state level. Candidates leaning toward a pardon include Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Larry Elder. Candidates against a pardon, Chris Christie, Asa Hutchinson, Will Hurd. Candidates who have not given a definitive answer, Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Francis Suarez, and Doug Burgum. Out of the world of celebrity news, Mumford & Sons co-founder and podcast host Winston Marshall, this being reported from Fox News, discussed the so-called controversy around Jason Aldean's music video, Try That in a Small Town, praised the hit movie Sound of Freedom in an interview with Fox News Digital. He faced intense media criticism in 2021 after he tweeted out in favor of conservative author Andy Ngo's tell-all book about the violent group Antifa. 2 years later, Marshall told Fox News that Aldean was suffering from cancel culture, but also from something deeper and more important. Quote, I think this speaks actually to something a bit more profound. I think this speaks to two versions of America. One sees race, slavery as the original sin. The other side believes it's possible to reconcile the dark history of America with honorable, remarkable, brilliant history of this nation.